Hello, potential survivors. Ghostfake here, and I'm here to talk to you about a perfectly harmless, yet sometimes fatal affliction called subscriber's guilt. This unbelievably dangerous disease occurs when YouTube recommends a video that you may like, and based off the one video, you subscribe to that channel, only to find out that every other video on that channel is complete trash. Well, I'm here to tell you that at Survivor's Guilt, you don't have to worry about that, because every video is trash. Here at Survivor's Guilt, we determine your chances of surviving your favorite and not favorite horror movies, using our patented survival stat technology based loosely in science. We calculate your exact odds of surviving through these movies. Did I say exact? I meant exaggerated and biased. We do this by taking a look at our main characters and the death that surrounds them to determine your chances of suffering survivor's guilt. So don't afflict yourself with subscriber's guilt, try survivor's guilt, and prepare to be disappointed.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Scene Snob Interviews. I am your host, Mick Manhattan, the Scene Snob, back again, and I have a very special guest joining me today. Actor Shannan Wilson is here. We're going to talk about her upcoming project. She just had one come out, Snow Babies, which is a dramatic turn and excellent movie. So I'm excited to talk to her about that. And then The Retaliators, Finding Christmas, and a new TV miniseries, Holston, based on the fashion designer's life. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you for being on. I'm so excited to talk to you because you have a lot of projects going on right now, and that's what we need.
I know, you're right about that.
Absolutely. And so your new film, Snow Babies, came out in September.
Yes.
And it's dramatic. It's a very dramatic tale. I'll let you tell it. Give us the premise, if you will, and kind of how did that come about? Getting that role.
Yeah, that came out September 29th, and that I play the mother of a 16-year-old heroin addict who is a straight A student, great kid, Catholic school. We're just both hardworking parents, my husband and I, and we don't know she has a heroin problem. So it really touches on the epidemic that's going on in our suburbs, which I really was naive about until I did this film. So I actually learned a lot by doing something with this type of topic. It's sad what I had to learn, but yeah.
Well, how did you prepare for a role like this? Because that's a really heavy content for you to step in and play a parent to a heroin addict and discovering that in the film. Like, I can't imagine that was an easy process.
No, it wasn't. It was my first feature film, actually. I've been auditioning for, I guess about 6 years. I decided that I wanted to try acting. So this was my first opportunity to be in a feature. It was an independent film. And at first, when my manager, Georgianne at CPM Talent, sent me the script, I thought it was going to be a Christmas movie. A really happy little, right?
The titles, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, that'll be so cute. And then I read the script and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's much heavier than that. So when I found out I got the part, to be truthful, I mean, I have a 15-year-old, she just turned 15-year-old daughter and a 13-year-old son. So I didn't really have to do a lot of research as to how I would be or what I would do, because it's easy for me to, easy in the sense that I can make my mind go there. Hard because it was hard to go to that place. But to be able to try to picture what it must be like if one of my kids got addicted to heroin.
It's a scary process. I can't even imagine. I watch these movies and I have two young ones myself, and I'm just like, you just gotta do the best you can, keep them away from drugs. But it's movies like this that at least show and give people who may not have an understanding of what's going on out in the world, there's some sort of view to it. Like, this can happen to anyone,
Yeah, totally. And we didn't want to, I wanted to be careful and make sure that the parents weren't being judged. As parents, we don't want to be judged if our kids make bad decisions. I mean, hell, we make bad decisions. So we wanted to make sure that everybody walked away without a sense of judgment. So like, well, I know my kid would never do heroin. We wanted everyone to realize, yes, your kid could get addicted. They could have an injury in a sport and be prescribed pain medication. And then the next thing they know, it can spiral out of control. So we researched, I didn't, but Bridget, the director and the writer, Mike Walsh, interviewed so many teen addicts and recovering addicts and got their stories and incorporated that into the film so that it could be as realistic as possible.
Oh, that's great. Well, that's a great thing to do because, personalizing like that, I'm sure, I know makes the difference because it's more realistic performance all around.
Yeah. Well, the end of one of the parts was really difficult to film. And so to prepare for that particular scene, because you want it to be real, you're portraying parents who've actually been through this. So you want to be respectful to mothers who have actually had to experience this. So I would listen to Chris Cornell. Like before this one scene, I listened to Audio Slave because it's so haunting and so sad. And so that really helped me get into the mindset on some of the really dramatic scenes that I had to do.
I can imagine. Absolutely. That's a great goal, especially to kind of help you reach that. So you said this is your first feature, and it's been about 5 or 6 years now that you've gotten into acting, and that's great. So what made the turn? How come you wanted to get into acting? Was it always a dream? Or?
Yeah, I think I always wanted, I used to try to make myself cry when I was a kid, and I was obsessed with the Academy Awards and film, and I would put on Fiddler on the Roof and make my poor little brother be in my plays. Like, he's like, I don't want to play, Tevye again. I'm like, you're going to play Tevye and you're going to like it. So I'm a bit lazy in a sense that that's a lot of work. So I found ways throughout my life to kind of, do improv or do some print modeling or do some commercial work to where I got a little piece of all of that without going gung-ho and, trying to be an actor. And to do anything well, you really have to focus on things. And I ran a business for 15 years and had kids. And I'm near New York, so I said, let me just see if I can do it. And my manager believed in me, and kind of the rest is history.
That's really cool. And I'm glad you're doing it. And you have a lot of projects going on right now, and that's fantastic because you have 2 movies that you've completed that are in post right now, The Retaliators and Finding Christmas, which now you got your Christmas movie.
I have 3 actually, but one I can't talk about yet.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, when that comes closer, we'll have to have you back on so we can talk about it. So with The Retaliators and Finding Christmas, I believe you're coming out towards the end of the year, correct?
Yeah, and The Retaliators is the same group of people from Snow Babies, same director, same writer. And I have a very small role in The Retaliators. In fact, I may have gotten cut from the scene. I'm not quite sure yet. But the Finding Christmas one will start shooting in December. And I get to play a South Philly mob boss. So I get to have an accent and, wear the clothes and do the whole thing. So I'm really excited about that.
That's awesome. So it's great that you get to play, all these different types of characters. So a South Philly mob boss. I can't even imagine.
Yeah, the wife of one. Her name is Martina. So I'm going to have the gold, and I'm thinking Adriana Sopranos. Meet Sharon Stone from Casino. So I have it all in my head.
Yes, awesome. That's great. Yeah. And one thing that really excited me was reading that you were in a TV miniseries about Holston, the fashion designer. And that's, I guess, going to be a period piece, correct? Because that was the 70s. He was. What was that like? How is that jumping into like a period piece like that?
That we shot last week. I was on set. I'm still tired from it, actually, but that's beyond my dreams or expectations to be in a production like this. It's like I was just about to give up. I thought, you know what? I've gone on so many auditions, even though I've done Snow Babies and done other things. I figured, I'll just stick with independent film. I'm not going to go into New York much anymore. And they say just when you're about to stop doing something is when something hits. And I booked Halston. We shot one day, March 12th, and then it shut down. And I thought, the one time, it's also, of course, everybody's going through the same thing. But at that moment, I'm like, God, I almost made it. So I was happy to see they're bringing it back. But I'm working with phenomenal actors. I mean, the actors and the wardrobe and the directors directed some of my favorite shows, Deadwood, which I love Deadwood, and some Game of Thrones. And it's just to be in that element with these people that have been doing this for this long, it's just cool.
Well, so for something like that, though, what kind of mindset do you get in for? You're preparing for your role, and it's the 70s, so you have to jump back into this whole world, especially a world of glitz and glamour of fashion design. What's that like? I can't even imagine. I would love to. I can't wait to see it, and I would love to, experience that in a way. But you're right there.
You're gonna love it. Well, yeah, it's a Ryan Murphy production. So if you know anything about Ryan Murphy,
oh yeah,
with American Horror Story and Ratchet, you just know it's going to be unbelievable. And they handmade the clothes. I'm wearing vintage Halston, and then some of my. So it once you get it fixed up that way, the clothes. I don't wear. Look what I'm wearing right now. But the to be surrounded by such talent with the wardrobe and the makeup makes you.
Oh, absolutely! I can imagine. And so with that. And Ryan Murphy especially, because I'm doing my research, I didn't even see that it was Ryan Murphy production. So you're getting great cinematography because he's always elaborate sets and beautiful colors and everything. Like I love just watching, like Ratchet, watching that. I was just like, the colors blew me away. And this is like because Pose was fantastic. His show Pose. So like I can't even now. You're going back to the 70s, and you're doing a Holston who lived a very flamboyant lifestyle, for the time, and just getting all caught up into it. So like that is so exciting. So they're filming that. That's ready to come out next year, I'm guessing.
That'll come out next year. We're being very safe with COVID safety. Ewan McGregor's playing Halston.
Oh my God, yes, I love Ewan.
So it's such a nice person. He's just such a nice guy. I worked with him last week. I worked with him a couple of days. And then my husband, who I can't announce, but it's kind of on the internet, but he's a guy that I have looked up to looked up to meaning he's been in every film that I've watched since like the 80s. He's my husband, and he couldn't be nicer. And I told him, I said, I'm so nervous to be here with you guys. And they were very, very gracious. And the woman who plays Liza Minnelli, because Liza was Halston's best friend, and her name is Krista Rodriguez, and she's been on Broadway, and she can do the Liza, she sounds just like her, she looks just like her. It's like being in Fantasyland on the set.
Oh, that's so fantastic. So
yeah,
I'm so happy for you that, like you said, like you were ready almost to just, that's it, especially after the year of 2020. I can imagine just saying, no, that's it. I'm not going back to New York right now with the craziness. But thankfully, I'm thankful for you, being able to book that. That sounds amazing. I can't
Thank
wait
you.
to see
You're
that.
so sweet. Yeah, thanks.
So to go back a little bit, kind of to the origin. So what were some of your inspirations for wanting to act? Maybe when you were younger, or like you said, you would pretend a lot. Like what inspired you, like shows or movies or actors?
Well, my parents are big movie watchers, my dad especially, and he loved the old musicals. I mean, he loved Paint Your Wagon and Seven Brides for Seven Brothers and just all of these movies. And I just loved the older films with Bob Hope and Lucille Ball. But just growing up, Sally Field in terms of endearment and Places in the Heart, and Meryl Streep and Deer Hunter. So all of these different films, it just looked so fun to be able to make believe and play. And I didn't know how to, I grew up in Houston, so I didn't really necessarily know how to, I wanted to take acting classes, but we couldn't afford them. And I wished for a stage mom, but my mom was opposite of that. I was like, God, why can't I have a stage mom? So I think all of these little things, just if you have something in the back of your mind, you want to try it, you should try it. I mean, you just don't know what could happen. Anybody could, if you wanted to start painting, just start painting, just see where that takes you. It took 6 years for me to get to where I'm at now. 6 years of auditioning, not getting anything, casting directors calling me back in, which were so nice because they would give me other chances. So it's just, it's hard work, but I think if you stick to something long enough, it'll happen.
I tend to agree with that. Yeah, it's just, you kind of push through, and yeah, that's great advice. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you're not just a woman of acting talent. You have many talents that are creative. You sing, you play instruments. You also wrote a children's book.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to talk about that a little bit, because that's a great achievement. Those are all great achievements. I've heard some of your songs, and The Littlest Peanut is the name of your book, which is an inspirational book. And if we could talk about that a little bit, tell us more about the book.
Sure. I had two preemies. They're stomping around. You probably just heard the footsteps, but because they're teenagers now. But they were both early at different times. They're 20 months apart. And when you have a premature baby, you're sitting in the NICU, and your baby's in an isolette, and it's just very stressful. So I would try to fill out a baby book, just a normal baby book, and it didn't match any milestones that my baby was going through. It wasn't anything like, when did the oxygen mask come off? When did you get to touch their finger? When did you get to change their diaper? All these little milestones that mean the world to the parent of a preemie. There were no books at the time like that. So I thought of it when I had my daughter, wrote some poetry, put it away, and then I had another premature baby, and those ideas came back out. So my brother-in-law illustrated it, and I created it, and we give a lot of books away to hospitals and NICUs. And I had a couple of moms last week ask me if I could donate some books for their gift bags for the NICU. And the NICU is the neonatal intensive care unit, if no one knows that. So just trying to give back a little bit to parents.
That's fantastic. That's really fantastic. And anybody wants to check it out, The Littlest Peanut, go check out the book. Go support.
Thank you.
And so, how do you? You're a mom with two teenagers. I have an 8 and a 4-year-old, so I can't even imagine teenagers yet. It'll
happen quick, I warn you.
So, and you've started this relatively new career. I mean, 6 years is a veteran in any other term, but you're maneuvering through it. You're maneuvering everything. You have a short film out. It's hit the festival circuit really well. It's called When Father Went Biking. How do you manage all of this? Like, especially this year, like I know a lot of filmmakers are kind of trying to maneuver through things. How are you doing it?
Well, I have more time on my hands right now. I think you just try to find a balance. And when you list all that, it seems like I'm doing stuff constantly, but that was through a long span of time. Like I wrote that book in 2004. And so it's just kind of like transpired through many different years. But just to find time to do things, I think you can be resourceful without having to work all the time. I mentioned earlier, I'm a bit lazy. You wouldn't think that, but I've managed to be resourceful by not having to kill myself with work. Because I've worked hard in the past, but life is so short. You don't want to just be, your kids need you around too. I mean, you really, especially when they're teenagers.
Oh, I can imagine, I'm sure.
Right. Probably more so when they're younger. You need to be around more when they're older than when they're younger. You got to keep an eye on them.
Yeah, I feel that's very true. I'm trying to teach them independence now. So it's like, okay, kind of let them do their thing, not hover. But, just keep an eye, but not hover. But yeah, when they're teenagers, I very much imagine knowing how I was as a teenager.
Yes.
It's close eye.
Yeah, totally.
So going through, like, I wanted to ask about the audition process right now too, because with everything, so everything has seemed to be virtual. A lot of these interviews have really, I do everything virtually now because of COVID. Have these auditions been helpful at doing it virtually? Like, have you been able to go on more or less, or how's that been working out?
Personally, I get very nervous in auditions. I think they're terrifying.
Yeah.
No matter what you do to memorize the lines or prepare. I mean, I can pull it together. I've definitely had bad auditions where I forgot my lines and just said, I'm not going to be able to do this, and walked out of the room. And the casting director was nice enough to call me back again. I think it's the way I handled it. But the virtual I prefer because I can check my work and edit it. And it's very, of course, I forced my husband, who's like, Marcy, what are you doing? Like he's the worst reader, but because he hates doing it. So it's either him or my son or my daughter reading. So that's funny, and they're so patient with me. But I think the virtual works for me, and I've talked to other actors, and they like it too, because the whole audition process of going to New York and getting into the room, put a lot of pressure on yourself. That's non-existent virtually. Yeah,
that's fair. Yeah, that whole atmosphere is kind of lost, I guess, with the virtual.
Although you don't get to meet them in person, so that's a hindrance, because you want to meet. You can feel someone's energy. You can walk into a room and they can kind of get your vibe, or you can get their vibe. That's lacking, even though you can still feel that through a Zoom call. It's not the same as how they carry themselves in a room. So I think that kind of goes against actors also, that we don't get to get face to face with them. So there's pros and cons.
Well, here's hoping it goes back to normal soon.
I hope so. I mean, there's some good news about the vaccine. They just closed my daughter's high school. She was there 2 days a week, but they're closing it until November 30th. So I think we're just all right, just trying to live on a minute by minute basis.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. It is. It's kind of like, what happens next? Is it going to be good or is it going to be bad?
Yeah, and like we can't even let your mind go to it being bad. It's just living in that present.
Yeah.
Because what we've all gone through right now is trauma. I mean, we're pretty traumatized from COVID.
Yeah.
Whether we think of it that way or not, I mean, looking back on it, it's like 9/11. It's just not like 9/11 because that was horrible, but traumatic in our life.
Oh no, I understand.
Right. So I think we'll have PTSD, or we don't even understand the repercussions of what we're dealing with right now.
That's a great thought too. I'm glad you actually said that, because I never even thought about that. What's going to happen after? Where do our minds go? Like, because you're going to have to call back to this, because this is something that affects everybody.
Yeah.
Babies all the way up, because, you know, like even though with my 4-year-olds, you know, he doesn't have any social interaction. He's never been to school because he was supposed to start this year.
Oh, yeah.
So he doesn't have that social interaction. There is nothing for him to do. They were just like, the 4-year-olds can't come, you know?
Right. So, and that's such an important milestone for him. And he'll be okay down the road, but he did miss out on something that would have been cool.
Yeah.
And that's hard for you as a parent to, you know, deal with for that moment. And that's why we just move on and go into our happy place.
Exactly. And that's what we're trying to do. And, you know, there are happy moments, of course, too. You know, one thing I did want to ask about, you have with the movies that you've been doing over the, you know, the course of your career, you have kind of like a different genre base. And I was wondering what's been your favorite genre of movie to work on so far?
Everything's been challenging in its own way. I've done that on purpose. I like being submitted for stuff that's different. Challenging. I think this one for Halston was challenging only because I didn't audition for the part. I auditioned for a different part in February. Didn't hear anything back, and then they offered me the role of Bobby Mahoney, who I'm playing. So I didn't audition for the role. When you audition for something, you know what they like. So you just go in there and do what you did in the audition. This one, I just was booked for 2 words, and then it turned into 2 episodes to other scenes to big scenes, to a big scene. So it went from, you know, this tiny little role to a much bigger role, which was super cool. So I think that one's I like the best, but it's been the most challenging because I didn't really understand what I hate to say character, but what I was supposed to do in the scene because I didn't audition for it. And we ended up having a rehearsal, so we were able to talk through it. Did that make sense?
Yeah, no, that definitely makes sense. Absolutely. And I get that. And it did, you know, to have that expand like that, which is a blessing, but at the same time, you have to get your mind around it, you know?
Yeah, to see what to do. I'd like to do comedy. I get booked for drama, and I actually enjoy comedy and would love, comedy's my favorite genre of movies. I mean, I can watch the Zucker Brothers movies, Mel Brooks. I mean, Napoleon Dynamite's my favorite. So I would love to do something comedic where it can make people laugh. I don't get a lot of auditions for that. So I'm trying to, that's my next goal, is to do some comedy.
All right. Well, I'm pulling for you. I hope you get it.
Thank you.
Well, you know, kind of get into before we end things, I like to leave with a couple like fun questions, and one of those being is, if there were any role, past, present, future, that you would love to do, what would that role be? It could be anybody's role from any movie.
Shirley MacLaine was hilarious in Steel Magnolias.
That's my wife's favorite movie.
Yeah. So any Shirley MacLaine part, she's so, and Bernie, she's so great. She's so bitchy and just so funny. Her terms of endearment. So I would say any Shirley MacLaine. I know that didn't do one movie, but
no, that works though, and I get that. And she is such a great actress, of course, and she's done so much. But Steel Magnolias especially, like, she just plays such a great role in that.
She does.
And that's a great pull. And in terms of endearment too, like, it's heartbreaking, but at the same time, she's
so angry,
so powerful.
Yeah, and she's just so angry and annoyed, and she's, you know, it's just hilarious. You know that she's got to have that in her. You're not reaching. These great actors are not. When you meet them, they're like, oh, that matches a lot of who they are.
Yeah. And I could see that with her because, most roles are very similar.
Yes.
You know? And I think it got to a point because you watch her in The Apartment.
Yes.
She almost still has that, but she's so young. It's like, yeah, all right, I'll play it the way you want me to play it. And she knocks it out of the park. And now I want to know, because you're a movie fan, you grew up with parents who are movie fans. What are your top 5 remote dropper movies? If it's on TV, you're dropping the remote and you're watching that movie. Okay,
Dirty Dancing, I love because Patrick Swayze is so cute. Legends of the Fall because Brad Pitt is so cute. No, but Napoleon Dynamite, on my Twitter account, it says won't change the channel if Napoleon Dynamite is on, because
nice.
It's so good and just so deeper than what people realize. True fans realize it. What else? I don't know. Those I won't change, that I could just watch over and over again, or Airplane or something like that.
Nice. All great movies. All great movies. So that was a great question. Not great question, great answer.
Thank you. They are great questions.
I praised myself.
You are a genius.
No, those great answers. So my favorite about Dirty Dancing, though, is my wife loves the movie. I love the movie too. You can't not love that movie. But Swayze's like weird New York accent in it is
because he's from Houston.
Yeah, well, I don't know what he was going for. He was just going for tough guy at the Catskills. And he tried to do a New York accent because he's like, "Hey, baby, nobody's ever done that for me before." And I do that to my wife all the time because I'm from Jersey, so I'll just get like a Jersey accent going, and it drives her crazy. She's like,
I've never. He grew up in Houston, Texas. I never realized that. But also, I mean, as we're talking about Patrick Swayze, and I have to pay attention now to that accent that you said that, is Roadhouse. I mean, how great is Roadhouse?
It's my favorite Swayze movie.
Is it?
That's a remote dropper for me. If it's on.
If that's on, you're in. You're like, I don't care what I have to do. I got to watch Roadhouse. And I have to make sure my children aren't in the room because it's so inappropriate.
It's so rude.
And so, like, some of the lines, you're just like, oh my, how did I not hear this line when I saw this as a kid? Like, they're terrible. They're always hitting women, and it's just, like, terrible. Like, what's going on? But it's just so entertaining. Not the hitting women, and just the whole 80s movie.
Because in it, you have the perfect hero in Swayze. He's just the everyman, like not really everyman because he's gorgeous and not every man can, attach himself to that. But he's a great hero and it works. And then Sam Elliott, you got Sam Elliott. Now he's there. Well, for a movie like that, which I think is a great, just a great '80s movie overall. You go back to it, you rewatch it hundreds of times over and over again, and I feel like you always find something different. Like you said, like you're always going to find a dirty line.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
So, but
you cut out for just a minute. You said the great.
No, I was just saying that with that movie is like a great '80s movie to always go back to. You're always going to find something different in it, and it is. It's just a perfect movie. So,
well, when you watch these movies,
No, I was going to say, I have to sit down and watch them now.
Well, when you sit down and you show your kids these films, because you're a movie buff, obviously, and you're going to want to show them all these films that you have these, nostalgic memories of, I would advise to either watch it first to remind yourself of all of the things that are in it, or have your remote on hand, because you're going to be like, oh my God, lots of guns, lots of inappropriate verbiage, like Crocodile Dundee, like words we would never use now, and shouldn't use now. So I'm warning you with your 4 and your 8-year-old, as they get older, make sure you're remote, even for something as simple as a kindergarten cop. Yep.
Oh yeah, 100% agree. Because that whole movie starts off pretty violent and then ends pretty violent, and you're like, it's weird.
It's like a gun to the kid's head. You're like, I don't remember this part.
and I remember being a kid watching it. Like,
yes.
Now I'm grown up, and I'm like, what is this? What is happening in this movie? I'm guessing when we were younger, it was just a different time. We were like, oh no, it's fine. I get it. He's good. Put a gun to the kid's head. Like,
he'll turn out okay. He'll be. I mean, it's gonna end okay.
You just had to be aware.
Yeah.
But no, that's a great point. I tend to let them, if they're going to watch something, we'll watch the TV edited version.
Okay, that's good. That's smart.
Because there's a lot of stuff you got to pick up on. That's like, okay, I forgot about that for sure. But Shannon, I want to say thank you so much. This has been awesome, and I wish you nothing but the best. I cannot wait to check out your movies coming up, your TV show coming up. Like, it's going to be amazing.
Thank you so much. I can't wait to see any of them either.
And it's very true. I mean, and it's going to be all new content, so it's going to be great.
Yeah.
So please, anytime you want to come back on the show, if you have a new project coming out, you are always more than welcome on the Scene Snobs. We'd love to have you. You've been fantastic.
Thank you. I'll definitely come back. Once I can speak about the other one, I'll be happy to talk about it with you.
I can't wait to hear it. And, thank you everybody for watching this Scene Snobs Interviews. You can always check out this show and all our other shows on the scenesnobs.com. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.